Welcome to Embrace the Suck with Benny. Let's go. Well, actually, he said, let's go. So, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Benny, the host of Semper Sometimes. This is my segment called Embrace the Suck. So, I'm going to be having a guest on tonight, somebody who was referred to me by none other than Michael Reynolds. So, for those of you who don't know who Michael Reynolds is, he is the artist behind this amazing photo of me. Maybe even the best photo ever taken of me. It is amazing. Thanks to him, it looks like that. I look better than I do anywhere else. I'm waiting on my guest to hop on. So while I do so, I just wanted to hop on and say hello to everybody and let everybody know that I do apologize for our little fiasco that we just had on YouTube on a live every day. We were trying out something new, and apparently the new thing that we thought was going to be good didn't work out. And unfortunately, you guys weren't able to hear the amazing conversation we had with none other than Brian Tallyman. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having him back on here in the near future. And right now I'm waiting for my guest. So I really want to just hop on and just say hello to everybody and let you guys know that I have been a little, out of the loop, dealing with life, dealing with family, dealing with two podcasts. So doing 7 days a week on a podcast is quite crazy, but I enjoy it. I love it. Wouldn't want to ask for anything else or anything more. So being able to navigate those waters with my own podcast and being the co-host of another podcast is definitely something that I'm doing while also writing a book. No, I'm kidding. I'm not writing a book. I'm not sure if maybe I should write a book one day, but I don't know how interesting it would be. I have been told that I should do stand up comic. I don't know, stand up comedy. But I really just wanted to hop on before the show started to just kind of say hi to everybody because I haven't been here in a while. So if you have any questions and or want to comment or talk about anything phenomenal, please let me know because in order to make this podcast the podcast that you need, I need your input. I cannot be better if you don't tell me how bad I suck. So, in order to be better, you got to let me know what's going on. Doodly boop bop boop bop. Doodly doop boop bop. Skibbity bip 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 bip. Skiddly bip boop. Doom 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 doo 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 doom 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 doom. Bop ba da 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 boop bop boop. Bop ba dee doop 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 doop. Doodly doop boop bop boop boom. Wah 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 wah. Follow me on Instagram. Semper underscore sometimes. Hey, the thing that I hate about StreamYard is that you don't know who's watching. So unless you comment, how many platforms are you broadcasting on? Right now, I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Unfortunately, StreamYard does not allow you to broadcast on Instagram. It's freaking annoying. And I don't have a Twitter. Maybe I should start a Twitter because you can do like Twitter and Twitch and stuff like that. So right now, the only place that I will be is YouTube and Facebook. But what I hate is that it says I have 3 people watching, but I don't know who those 3 people are. So, boom, 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 boom. Da 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 dum 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 dum. Who is? If you are here, leave me a comment so I can talk to you about the comment. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope your life is amazing. Today was my daughter's 2nd birthday, so happy birthday to her. My son's 4th birthday will be Sunday. Explaining to him that yesterday's birthday party wasn't really like, so we had a birthday party for him yesterday, and he's like, "It's my birthday." Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that it does because it's worth it. I've been doing this without one. At first, I was doing it with the AirPods, and I thought that was phenomenal. And then I started listening to it on my own, and I was like, it's not really that great. And I've been told that this microphone sounds a lot better, so I'm glad about that. But so thank you for that, sir. And then yeah, so yesterday we had a birthday party for the kids, and my son is like, "Oh, well, today's my birthday," and I'm like, "Nah, not really. Tomorrow's your sister's birthday." And then he's like, "Well, then tomorrow's my birthday." I'm like, "No, not really. It's actually next week." So then he's like, "My birthday's tomorrow," and now we're trying to get him to understand that like he has to wait a week until his birthday. So it's quite confusing and quite hectic. So he wanted to wear his fourth birthday T-shirt every day this week, and unless we're doing laundry every day, we're not going to let that happen. I guess stand by, waiting for the guest to hop on. So, how is everybody's day? How's everybody's life going? If you guys need some artwork done, go head over to 40 Mike on Instagram. The guy's phenomenal, great guy, great husband, great mentor, great person all around, and even better artist. The guy is phenomenal. Tell me how the other day I'm on an Instagram live with this guy, and as we're on the Instagram live, his eyes are just bulging, and I'm like, dude, this guy's definitely writing he's definitely drawing a picture of all of us right now. Let's go. As soon as the interview is over, he tags all of us in this photo that he just sketched out, and then, not we're not done there. Then I go over and I'm like, hey man, let me get that off of you. I will pay to have that baby in my house. And he goes, "What? This sketch? Yeah, that sketch. I need it. I want it. I need that." If you are looking for work to be done, definitely hit him up. Phenomenal guy. Great, 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 great work. Got a website. Got like he does work for nonprofits. He worked with Pat's Purpose. So definitely go reach out. If you want your world to be rocked by some awesome military artwork and or some civilian type stuff, just go look at what he's doing. It's some great stuff. Boop 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 boop. I guess next time I shouldn't start 7 minutes before the guest hops on. I've got four other people here. Yes, yes, definitely. So Pat's Purpose is a nonprofit organization that was started by Julian, Brianna, and I cannot remember. I believe Chelsea is Pat's fiance. I believe it's Chelsea. I feel horrible that I don't remember, but Pat's Purpose is an amazing group of people who started a nonprofit for Patrick Duva, Corporal Patrick Duver. He was an acquaintance of mine. Someone that I met a few times before his passing. One of my good friends, Sergeant Devaney, who recently got married. That was his best friend. Like grew up together, played freaking little league together, did a whole bunch of great stuff. My man. Yo, 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 yo. Here he is. What is up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, man. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Nice, man. So, introduce yourself to everybody who does not know who you are.
Okay, so my name's Nico Flores or Sergeant Flores. I'm a Marine recruiter here in the Central Valley in California.
Oh,
I've been
wow.
in the Marine Corps for almost 9 years now, and I've been to a few different duty stations, few countries, seen a lot of different parts of the world, and now
Nice. Nice, man. So, how do you how do you enjoy being on recruiting duty? Like what is your thought process behind it, and also how long have you been on the duty?
okay, so how do I enjoy being on recruiting duty? So at first, it was a lot of hearsay through the Marine Corps, people that have been on the duty. My mass sergeant, for example, like, nah, bro, you're going on recruiting duty. I loved it, bro. But to each his own, everyone has a different experience on this duty. At first, I was a little hesitant, but I'm really good at talking with people and holding down a conversation. So it took me a while to like get a little bit out of my shell, but I like the duty so far. It's definitely what you make of it. And I've been on the
100%.
duty for now. I just have a countdown calendar, but I've been on the duty since December of 2020.
Oh wow, okay. Oh wow, so you've been out there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, ditch this countdown calendar, man. Stop with the 300 days in the wake up. Just it makes it that much longer, bro. When you start that, and so I'm glad that you say that though. With the mentality, right? Because everybody, when you find out you got histed, or you find out, hey, I'm going on recruiting duty, all of a sudden, all you just see these blank stares across the. Everybody's like, ah! and and that's the thing for me, man, is that like that's why I started this segment of my podcast. Was I wanted to create a place where people can talk about the positive things that happen on recruiting duty, because all you ever hear is the negative connotations towards the duty. You don't hear about the lives that are being changed, or the skills that you're gaining as a young leader, and the skills that you're going to be able to take back to the Fleet Marine Corps. You don't really, no one really talks about like, hey, this changed my entire life in a positive way. So that's some of the questions that I definitely want to ask you. And I know one of the things that you had spoken about. How, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 31.
You're 30. Okay, so we're the same age. So, one of the things I definitely wanted to talk about you, and especially with you being on the duty right now, is that, funny thing. So I remember, we already had today set up, right? So I was at the gym earlier today, and there was these two guys that were talking, and they were talking about, I guess, like they both work in some sort of like high end business, right? They both just graduated college. They have their bachelor's degrees, and they're both talking about how they're 23 years old and they've been put in this leadership position, and they're being told how they have to go and talk to these people, and they have to go and fire some people, and they're like, dude, these guys are like really older than me. These guys are like this, and like, how can I go and do that? I'm only 23 years old. And like, I just sit there, and in my head as I'm working out, I'm just laughing, because I'm just like, dude, like, these are guys who the only thing they've ever done is gone to college for 4 years, and they don't have leadership experience. They don't have any of these things. So when they get this degree and then they get this job, they're like, well, how do I go and do this? So like, so one of the questions I want to ask you is, why should somebody join the Marine Corps out of high school instead of going to college? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
All right. So joining the Marine Corps out of high school instead of going to college and then pursuing another route, I feel like somebody should join the Marine Corps after high school because one, it gets you out of your hometown. So you're not staying around the same crowd. You're able to develop new friends, travel the world for free, get an experience, and you're put in different leadership roles that give you the ability to be in charge. So a lot of these jobs here in the area, like, yeah, in and out is cool, but I couldn't see myself being a manager there. And me personally, I was born and raised in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I joined just to get stationed at Camp Lejeune. Uh, so that's for me. But I feel like everyone should get away from their hometown because you need to fly away from the nest and experience the world on your own and get your own taste of the world. You don't need
Yeah,
somebody always feeding you negativity or your friends or your parents telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. You need to make those experiences on your own and also make the mistakes on your own and learn for them. And that's the only way you're able to grow is leaving your hometown and seeing what the world has to offer. But
bro. Dude, I completely agree with you on that, and it's funny because like when I was on recruiting duty, I'm a point even on my podcast in real life, on my other podcast, and I'm a co-host of. Like, I'm just a real dude, and I speak facts, and I speak like, if this is how I say it, this is how I'm going to say it anywhere, right? So when I used to do table like high school talks at the school, I was able to be the recruiter of my high school because I'm an EAD recruiter, right? So I was actually able to go back to my high school that I graduated from, and I would be in classes that I used to have, like with teachers that used to be my teachers. So they saw the complete transition from the dude who was, hanging out, smoking pot, and never showing up to class, to now this guy who's, owns two houses, family, and everyone's like, wait a minute, who the heck is this guy, right? So I would start off these, my classes, and I would just look at people, and I would like, there was like a leadership seminar that I did, and I would ask everybody, I'd be like, hey, raise your hand if you know Bob, and everybody would just be like, the whole class would raise their hand, and I'd be like, so you know Bob, right? Who works at ShopRite? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, guess what Bob thought? And they'd be like, what do you mean? He thought, just like you, he wouldn't be working at ShopRite and just stocking shelves. He said, hey, it's going to be 3 years. And after this 3 years, I'm going to go to college and I'm just going to work it up. Da, 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 da. And then Bob never left. And Bob never left his hometown. And Bob has been nowhere. And I'm like, do you want to be Bob? And everyone's like, no, that'll never happen to me. That won't be me. And I'm like, but do you think Bob thought that? Do you think Bob thought that it was gonna, like, he was just gonna never leave ShopRite? And that's exactly what I would talk to them. And I would ask them that. I'd be like, growing up, see, I'm talking to seniors. I'm like, growing up, did you grow up and say, hey, I can't wait to never leave my hometown? Like, where you just like, was this exciting? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to college to just stay right here. And it's just like what do you, and then questions that I would ask are like, what do you want to do? Like, what are your plans and stuff like that? And everyone always has the same, like, I don't know. And it's just like, well, don't you think you should probably learn? Like what are your, so what are some of the reasons why you joined the Marine Corps? And have you seen yourself gain those experiences while on recruiting duty, while in the Marine Corps, like stuff like that?
Okay, so that's a great question actually. So the reason I initially chose the Marine Corps is because my uncles were in the Marine Corps, my dad was in the Marine Corps, so I had that discipline and that upbringing by my uncle being a drill instructor, and always me and my cousin washing dishes when we were like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and ironing his uniform before he goes back to the island. And just that discipline right there, is that's when I realized that that's the kind of discipline I need in my life. And I know I was probably too young to make that decision at the time, being 9 years old, but ever since that day, like, it's always been my goal. And then graduated high school, had a kid directly after that, had a little custody battle after that, kind of put a hold on the Marine Corps because you need a lot of paperwork. Temporary custody needs to be
Yeah.
given to somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
So that put me on hold for 4 years. So I was working at Sonic and not going anywhere, but then finally got the paperwork started and finished and went to boot camp. And the main reason I chose the Marine Corps is because I wanted to not only provide a better life for me, but a better life for my family. And I knew in the Marine Corps, I would be able to do that because medical, dental benefits, I would be able to get leadership and discipline as well as time management. I'm going to be honest with you. You can ask anybody I work with, and time management is not my strong suit. So I think this duty is helping me out a lot. But I think the Marine Corps, at the end of the day, it's been really good to me and to my family because I'm able to take my children to the doctors if they need to, and I've been able to travel the world. And if you would have asked me when I was in high school if I would have seen myself traveling to Europe or Africa, I probably would say like, nah, I don't. I wouldn't have time to save up the money, but being able to travel and get that experience has been pretty awesome in the Marine Corps, and I'm looking to do the Marine Corps until they kick me out.
Nice. Nice, man. So how has your experience on recruiting duty been? Like, do you, and listen, I know the hours are crazy, the day, and then a lot of times you go through so much during the day, and you feel like it's a thankless job a lot of times.
Mhm.
But right now, with you being on the duty, what are some experiences that you've been able to have that you look at and you're like, wow, I'll never forget this time? Or like, I'm sure that there's probably poolies that you now have seen become Marines that you're like, dude, I had a hand in that. Like, what are some experiences that you've been able to, have and enjoy?
All right. So first thing I will say this, I have seen a lot more red hatters on this duty than I have the past 9 years in the Marine Corps. They're always coming, you got any stickers or any,
Yo.
I was in NAM and World War II, and then the red hatters are time bandits. But being able to share those experiences actually with those past veterans of the Marine, the Armed Forces, Army, Marine Corps, Navy is a really good experience because it opens up your eyes to how far the military and the Marine Corps in general has come from 1918, 1775 till present day now, and some of the changes that we're seeing in our community as well as with today's generation. And one thing that I started doing once I got here is I started volunteering in the community. So I started volunteering with the Kiwanis Club and getting out in town, going to some of the schools and stuff like that. And I feel like that's helped me because it helps me network in the community. So if I ever need somebody like to work on a car, or if I know somebody looking to buy a car, I know somebody that works at that dealership, and the small network that I'm doing on this duty is paving the way for the future, because not only am I going to have that asset when I get back to the Marine Corps and being able to network in other different fields and MOSs, but I'm going to have the time management on top of that. And I feel like the time management on this duty and building my SNR book every single day and transition it out to every 2 weeks and building and closing out your month, it's working on my time management and working on the weekends as well. So when I get back to the Fleet Marine Corps, it's not going to be a big deal if we have to stay a little late or if I have to come in and work on the weekends, because I'm already pretty much used to it. It's just I become accustomed to this nature on recruiting duty. So kind of like coming in on the weekends, it's inevitable, even if you do have a shipper going out on Sunday or a pool function on Saturday. So I look forward to changing these young men and women's life for the better and getting them out of their hometown so they can go out and explore the world on their own and get a taste for reality.
Yeah, dude, and my buddy Anthony said, communicate with those retired Marines. They will help you more than you know. Dude, it is so true, man, because and that's a huge part that other Marine recruiters forget about, man. And like you were talking about with the SNR, a lot of Marine Corps recruiters, especially myself, like I hated closing out my events. I hated, actually doing a plan. And when you think about it, it's like, bro, if you actually use Macris the way that it's intended to be used, it will help you in a lot of ways. And especially with the communicating with those retired Marines, like you have a contact card, you have a whole place for contact cards. Use it, utilize it, because it actually is helpful. And then on top of that, it also helps when you get to know people in your community. And bro, I think it's amazing that you're finding that time to um to volunteer, because that shows the community what the Marine Corps is about, right? And I think that as Marine Corps recruiters, a lot of times we forget about that part of it. Like because we talk about it, right? The mission, the Marine Corps' mission is to return quality citizens to its community, right? But I feel like the Marine Corps as a whole, a lot of times we forget about that part of it. Like we forget about the returning quality citizens. And when you're sitting here as a Marine in the community, helping different organizations, helping different places, that just shows them that, like, okay, well, you know what? Sergeant Flores isn't just here to take my kids and bring them here. He's actually here becoming a part of his community, even though, like, you're not from Cali, but right now you are. You're a part of this community, and that just speaks volumes of who you are. That speaks volumes of who you've become as a Marine, as a sergeant. So I definitely want to thank you for that. But it's a good thing to do, because when you start meeting people through those avenues, then people are like, hey, actually, so and so is interested in the reserve program, or hey, my son is interested in this and that and this and that. And like one of the things that I've always tried to encourage people to do on recruiting duty is to try to tie in Toys for Tots into the local RSSs, because a lot of people don't do that, and it stinks because a lot of people talk about, oh, it's so hard to find good reservists, or it's so hard to find the KG. And it's like, okay, well, are you looking for them? Are you looking for quality KGs? And are you also showing them what the reserve program is all about? And that's the thing, is that we do not as a Marine Corps recruiting force, we don't do a good justice of explaining to people what the reserve program is. Because if you really think about it, most people, when you speak to them, they're like, wait a minute, the Marine Corps has a reserve program? And everyone's like, yes. And a lot of people have no clue. They have no idea what the Marine Corps does, and then active duty Marines like yourself, a lot of times, when people are like, hey, what does a reservist do? And you guys are like, um, I don't know. So a lot of times it's like hard to understand that. Um, so Mike Reynolds, Captain Reynolds, says Sergeant Flores changed my life in a positive way. How do you know what he's talking about? How did you change this Marine's life? Do you know?
What I would say about Captain Reynolds' comment is I'm not being conceited when I say this, but always keeping PMA, positive mental attitude, wherever you
Mm.
go in life, because that time you wasted in being angry or being upset, that's time you can't get back. So I feel like when I worked at the ASP with Captain Reynolds in Quantico, Virginia, I always showed up to work and I always got the job done. It may have not been on time, but there were some stipulations because I've always wanted to help out in every section. I had a certain section that I needed to help out in, but I wanted to volunteer my efforts in like keys, storage, issues, segregations. I wanted to have a little piece of me everywhere. And
Mm.
I think just having that positive mental attitude and no matter your circumstance or what you're going through, that really says a lot about a person and their character. So I think that's what he's talking about. I don't want to assume or
Bro, yeah,
anything, but
yeah, yeah. Bro, and I'm so glad that you bring that up, man, because that I did a whole entire episode on that, and I was on a part of this Facebook group, and I put that in there, and I said, hey, man, like I don't know how many times people talk about FMAM and JJazz and all this stuff, right? And it's like, listen, all of those things are real. Yes, I get it, they're real, but you know what's also real? Positive mental attitude. And if you keep coming in every single day and you're like, wow, guys, we're only halfway through FMAM, well, then guess what? You're just starting your day off on a negative note. And he said he made it happen. That's what he said. I love it. That's great. So how do you try to hone that in? Like on recruiting duty, how do you try to continue to have that positive mental attitude every day?
all right. So with a positive mental attitude, I like to read books. So, books about your mind, books about positive affirmations, and practicing that. I'm not a witch doctor or anything. So, I like to read books because you expand your mind, you expand your knowledge on things. And at the end of the day, knowledge is power, and it's only power when you use that knowledge that you learned. So,
Mm.
through time, there's a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And there's a section in that book, and it talks about cancerous cells and healthy cells. So there's two petri dishes, and if you take one cancerous cell and put it in the petri dish with the good cells, over time that cancerous cell is going to become a positive cell. And if you do it vice versa with the uh, positive cell on the negative petri dish, it's going to become cancerous over time. So it's all about your environment. And whether or not it is your environment, you need to set aside time for yourself to get your mind right. Maybe meditate in the morning, go to the gym, go for a run, whatever you do that gets you in that mindset. You need to find time to do that because, like I said, you won't be able to get that time back at the end of the day. But I just feel like um, there's really no reason to be like negative and like upset at the end of the day.
Yeah. Bro, I had this buddy of mine that was on the duty. Um, he was one of my recruiters, and every day he was just like this negative emotion in the office. And it came to a point where I was like, "Listen, bro, get out. Just get out. Do not I don't want you around any of the rest of the Marines. Just like get away from us." Like, I had one of my best friends, Raymond Durkee, Staff Sergeant Durkee. There was one day he came in, we were doing morning training on a Friday, and he just had this attitude about him. And I didn't know what was going on with him. And I just looked at him and I said, Ray, leave. I just looked at him. One of my best friends, I was like, bro, just get out, get in your car and just go for a drive. I was like, because right now you're gonna get in the way of training, and you're gonna get you're already in this feeling of yours. So I was like, just get in the car, go get some coffee, come back later. And later on he came back and he was like, "Hey boss, I apologize for that." And I was like, "Listen, bro, dude, we do this shit 7 days a week, bro." I was like, "I get it." I was like, "But if you need to walk in the office and tell me, hey, I need to go for a ride, just go for a ride, man." Because and that's what I love about what you're talking about, man, is because a lot of people, when we talk about that, we talk about, like you said already, hey man, I work weekends, I find myself at work a lot. You know, a lot of the reason why we find that is because a lot of offices, and I'm not speaking specifically for yours because I don't know anything about your office, but a lot of the time the reason why we find ourselves working so much is because out of 5 Marines, 3 of them are really working hard, and then the other 2 are really not. And it's like, is everybody really pulling their weight? Is everybody really, having that positive mental attitude? Because if one isn't, then that's going to affect the other 4. And so that's definitely a huge part of this duty, is being able to take those things, take the corrective criticism, and for someone like, my thing is for someone like Captain Reynolds, man, someone who's been in the Marine Corps 20 years now, for him to look at you and be like, first of all, he hit me up and was like, "Bro, you need to have Nico on your podcast." And then for him to talk about that, that just shows that, number one, there's phenomenal leaders in the Marine Corps, right? And then it also shows that young Marines of sergeants, and below, can still make an impact to people that are, captains and chief warrant officers and stuff like that. Because, as we know, Captain Reynolds has been, almost every rank so far. Um, but, it's just awesome that you were able to affect him in a positive way as a sergeant or as a corporal. And that's something that I think is awesome. And I think that that's how you've been successful on this duty, because you've been able to be transparent. You are who you are, and you have that positive mental attitude. Am I correct in saying that?
I would say you are correct in saying that.
Yeah. So what are some things that you are looking forward to now? Like how much more time do you have? Like a year left?
On this duty, I have about a year left, and I extended for this duty,
Oh,
and I'm looking to submit my warrant officer package by the middle of next year. I have to retake the ASVAB. Obviously, I was hoping I could take the PICAT, but I can't. They won't let me take the PICAT. But on top of that, if it does get accepted and approved, it would be, I think, January 2024 is when I would be going to the course. But then after that, wherever the Marine Corps takes me. So I've been on the East Coast and the West Coast. I've only been for SDA, but I'm looking to go wherever the Marine Corps takes me. Whatever is going to help me progress in uh, my community, my MOS community, as well as the Marine Corps. I'm willing to go wherever.
nice.
That's
That's
my
awesome, man.
for this.
That's what they need to hear, right? They need to know, like, hey, I'll go wherever you need me to go. Um, so what are some of the things that you would say that I know we talked a little bit about like time management, positive mental attitude, but what are some of the things that you've been able to gain while on this duty so far? Like if somebody's coming out on the duty, soon, what are some of the things that you could say to them, like, hey, these are some of the positive things that I've been able to get on?
So some of the positive things. So how I feel, there's a lot of people that talk bad about the SDA, that people that haven't even been on this duty before, like, oh, you're going on recruiting, bro. Good luck. Like, they've never been on SDA. Like, not trying to be one of those guys, but you shouldn't have the right to talk about an SDA if you've never been through that experience in your career. So I think that's where a lot of people go wrong is they hear that they got histed or selected for recruiting duty, like, oh, I don't want to do recruiting duty, man. Recruiting duty sucks and stuff like that. How I see it is, and I'm quoting Captain Reynolds on this, but you control your destiny. Okay, so what I mean by that, so if you continue to be in a negative mindset and you're going to continue to get negative paperwork, NJP, NIPLOC, whatever the case may be. But if you have that positive mental attitude that we were talking about earlier, you're going to continue to succeed and go far in life. And I feel like coming on this duty, you need to have that positive mental attitude, because this SDA, as well as any SDA, is going to help you progress in your Marine Corps career, whether that be the going the warrant officer route like many Marines do, or going back to the fleet and becoming a first sergeant or a master sergeant and leading your battalion or your company. So I feel like if you have that positive mental attitude coming out here, you'll do just fine. You just need to, even if it's not your hometown or your AO that you're coming back home to, get out in the community, network, find things to do. And I feel like if you find things to do and keep yourself occupied and think happy thoughts, you'll be good.
Bro, and that's the thing, man. I'm glad that you're saying that because that's the biggest thing, man, is that, I've had people say this to me all the time on my podcast. Like I've had two sergeant majors say it, and they're like, "Hey, man, nobody goes on recruiting duty wanting to fail." I will tell you this. I agree and I disagree with that statement. Because the moment you get histed and you have this negative connotation towards the duty, you are putting it in your head that it's okay to fail. Oh, it's all right. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And it's like all of a sudden you have these Marines who go out on the duty. They're not putting their full effort in, or they've heard these horror stories and now they've put this negative blockage in their mind. And they're like, oh, dude, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. Well, of course it's going to suck because you're saying it's going to suck. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And that's the thing about it is that, like, yes, I agree that no one wants to do bad, no one wants to fail. But when you're going into the arena, the match, when you're going into BRC already with this in your mind that I'm going to hate this, well, then you're going to fail. And or you're going to have the worst, longest 3 years of your entire life. And and that's like my buddy Dre. I always talk about him because every day Ray would say, "Bro, I hate my life." Like he would literally say it. He would say, "Ooh, okay, I would definitely get on that." But one of the things that he would always tell me, man, we went outside and smoke, and I was his recruiter, and then eventually I became his staff on COIC. And Ray would always talk about like, "Bro, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. This is horrible. Like I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna be trash. I'm gonna be trash." And right when he finally started getting, but he would still go out there and fight every day. But he just had like these negative thoughts because he wasn't good. Like no matter how hard he tried, he just wasn't good. He wasn't getting it right. And finally, he starts getting it. He starts getting it. He's killing it. And like finally, he's starting. He's getting on his road, and then all of a sudden, he has a stroke. Has a stroke and ends up in the hospital, and he's off the streets for like a couple of days, like a week, and then they put him right back on the bag. And now, mind you, when Ray had gotten this stroke, he had told the sergeant major that he wanted to go back on the duty and that he wasn't going to quit and that he's never quit something before. And the whole office is like, bro, you just had a stroke. Like, it is okay. Like, you're not quitting, bro. Like, just go and be you and just go live a beautiful life, and just get off the duty, do it for us type thing. And he was just like, no. He was like, no, I can't do it. Like, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to fix it. And he ended up writing like 5 or 6 fours. And he ended up in even and dude, when I tell you, like, his stroke really affected him for quite a while. Like, there would be times where like he'd be on the phone and he would stop and he would stutter, and so he had to like literally kind of teach himself how to do the whole recruiting thing over again. And but no matter what, he didn't quit, and he still had that positive mental attitude every single day. He constantly would, he would read books, he would listen to motivational speeches, he would be doing all this stuff, and no matter how bad it happened, this dude really continued to fight every single day. And now he's off the duty. It's been almost a year now that he's been off the duty. He completed his tour, and now he's back to 100% health, and he's loving life. And but it really just goes to show you what can happen if you just work every day, put a good foot forward, have that positive mental attitude, and just be able to fight for it. So two things. One, apparently you're a movie star.
I wouldn't say a movie star, maybe like a YouTube movie star.
Okay.
All right. So You want me to talk about that?
Yeah. What happened? Let's go.
All right. So Captain Reynolds, he's very inventive and creative. So you know how like the 80s and 90s they had those cheesy, cringy commercials. There was one called Making It Happen. So Making It Happen is about an employee at a store and a new person that just gets hired on the job comes there, and they're looking at the store, and he's walking them through, kind of like a mentor and mentee. So he's walking them through, showing them all the different things at the store, the do's and the don'ts, the hazards. So Captain Reynolds had this idea to recreate that, but make it about the ASP. You can find it on YouTube. I do not know the link, but I do know it's called Making It Happen. MAKIN apostrophe it happen. And I think it's under Mike Reynolds if I'm not mistaken. But so myself and a few other Marines at the ASP, we intentionally made this video because Captain Reynolds is big in the ammo community, so he used to work with a lot of Marines that are now GS employees that still work in the community. So this was geared towards them, and we were going to use it at a mess night that got canceled due to COVID back in, I think it was 2020. So yeah, it was a mess night video. But with that being said, we did the same exact thing, and it was there was really a lot of thought into it. There was a script. We had to study the script. And I would just it was fun making it. I'm not gonna lie. Captain Reynolds directed it. It was me and another Marine called Corporal Ayat. So when we were going into the magazine, we were taking little snippets of the original video and queuing it in with our video. So I don't know if anybody's ever been in a ASP or an earth covered mag. So in an earth covered mag, it's just a concrete arch inside, and they have lights in there. So in the video, they had like some wires from an electrical light hanging out and go zzz, zzz. And then in our video, we had the same thing, but the Marine looks up, takes a broom, and like pokes the wires, and then there's a lot. And then he was like barefoot in the magazine, and I was like, oh no, watch out. And there's rusty nails in the middle of the magazine. And then he's like, if you're not careful, a lieutenant from TBS could not be looking and walk right in.
Oh, apparently he was talking about you were an extra in a movie before you joined the Marine Corps.
I don't recommend anybody watch that. It's pretty cringe. But it's I'll just tell you, I'll go ahead and embarrass myself, but it's called The Hollow Oak Trailer by Chris Manny Productions on YouTube. It's gonna be hard to find. It's called the Spencer Bonfire Scene, but it was a one-liner. It was a low-budget film that was locally filmed and shown at the movie theater in the area, but that was my only part.
Nice. Well, hey man, it's more movies than I've ever been in. But so one of the other questions that Mike Reynolds, Captain Reynolds, asked was, how does social media help or hinder today's recruiters? Have you found it to be a tool? Do you enjoy using it? Are you good at using it? Do you know how to use it?
So I do know how to use social media. Coming out on this duty, I was always posting stuff on, like, I'm more interactive on Instagram than I am Facebook, but I'm always posting stuff. I'm making interaction posts on social media so I can interact with the community in my area as well as Marines overseas and here. And I feel like it helps out on the duty if you use it correctly. What I mean by that is making interaction posts, posting something that's relevant to the community that would get discovered on somebody's For You page on Instagram. And as far as hindering, I would say it can be seen in a different light in some people's For You page, because there are some recruiters, I'm not sure in my area, but that are like constantly negative, and like we'll have people come into the office and be like, bro, you don't want to do the Marine Corps and stuff like that. But they'll just paint a negative light on the military, Marine Corps specifically, and that that message is sent to that young man or woman, and they go tell their friends back home or in the area, I'm like, yo, don't talk to this branch, because I had this experience with them. But I feel like if you
Mm,
use social media correctly and how it's supposed to be used while you're on the uh, recruiting duty, it will work for you in the end. But you have to constantly be involved with the community and interact with people and comment on their posts. But if you continuously to do that, you're gonna start, like I said, popping up on people's For You page. They're gonna start discovering you, and you continuously post stuff. You post reels and stories and stuff like that. They're gonna see that you're not a bot, and they'll be able to
yeah.
interact with you.
Bro, I agree 100%, man. Like if you don't know how you, and that's the thing is a lot of people just don't know what they're doing. And like some people are just like, they'll send like this huge long caption and it's like, bro, like I'm not gonna like would you answer that? I'm not gonna answer that. Like, hi, this is Stefan so and so with the United States Marine Corps. I'm looking and it's like, bro, no, I'm not even gonna look at that. Like, nope, have a good day. And also as a hindrance, it can be just time consuming because I know myself, I get lost on Instagram hours on end. So if you're not allotting that time in your SNR and you're not, paying attention and using it at the right time and stuff like that, it can definitely be a hindrance to your own time. And that just goes back into, like you said, that time management piece. So one of the last questions I really want to just ask you is were you histed or did you come out on the duty? Did you volunteer to come on the duty?
So I was history for this duty.
Okay. So when you got histed, what was your immediate thought? Like were you one of those guys that were like, no? Or like what happened with that? Like what like, cause like me, I'll never know that feeling because I'm an EADer. So like, I literally went to the RS and said, "Hey, I want to be a recruiter," and they were like, "Okay." And then I was on the bag for 2 months before I went to BRC. So like, I went to BRC knowing already knowing what MC3 was, already having NWAs, already having all of those things. So it was very different for me. So I'll never know that feeling of being histed.
Mhm.
So how did that feel? How did that moment? Did you know? Did somebody call you and say, "Hey, bro, you were histed"? Like, how did you find out?
So I can't remember exactly how I found out, but I'm pretty sure it was my mass sergeant at the time, Master Sergeant McIntyre. Was like, "Bro, you got histed." He has a little country accent, but he's been on the duty twice. And at first, I had that thought that every other Marine has, like, damn, recruiting duty. So it was recruiting duty or drill instructor duty. I know that both are very time demanding. So I gravitated more towards filling out the package for the recruiting duty side. However, I was trying to submit my EOD package at the time, which I only started the process a little bit because I didn't have the score that I needed to lap move into that community. So with that being said, my master at the time was always on me, talking to me about recruiting duty, and he's like, "I'm not gonna sign off on your EOD package. You're going recruiting duty, bruh." And then was telling me about the recruiting duty stories that he's had, and I think over time, um, as the days progressed and got closer, and I talked to the career planner and found out what BRC class I was going to be in, it started to grow on me
Mm,
because, like I said, at the end of the day, um, and Captain Reynolds said, you control your own destiny. So I feel
bro.
like the recruiting duty is helping me out in the long run because time management, like I said before, was something I definitely lacked, and it's helping me now slowly but surely. But at first, when I found out about it, I was like, oh no, going on recruiting duty. But
Yeah,
later down the road, as it got closer, I started accepting my destiny, if that makes sense.
yeah, bro. And I'm just thankful for that, Mass Art, man. And I dig like legit, man. That's awesome because all I ever hear from any Marine when I ask, like when I was a staff in COIC, and I would have Marines checking in, I'd be like, "Hey, man, so what'd you hear about it?" oh, bro, all I've ever heard is this, all I've ever heard is that. And every time I'm on this podcast, I've had 50, this is my 53rd episode right now. And I always ask that same question. Hey man, what did you hear about the duty before you came out? And everybody's like, bro, like one of my buddies, Ramos, he was literally on a ship on a Mew when he found out he got histed, and he had to literally get off the ship, get ready to PCS, get ready to, and all of this stuff, and like within like a matter of a month. So like he literally went from deployment to literally like, or it was overseas. I can't remember. It was either like overseas or a Mew. I'm not sure. But he literally went from deployment to PCSing to BRC, and like that was it. Like, and I was like, well, what did you hear about? And he was like, bro, I was on the ship, and all of my buddies, the staff sergeants and up, were like, oh, bro, you're about to hate your life for the next 3 years. And but the thing is, like you just said, he had one mass sergeant that was like, listen, bro, drown out all that shit they're telling you, because if you want this to be a positive mental attitude time, if you want this to change your career, it will. It's on you. And Ramos took that advice and he killed it on recruiting duty. And dude did phenomenal out here. And that's what I think. I ask everybody, like, bro, stop being the person that goes back to the Fleet Marine Corps and talks about how shitty this place is, because that's a huge part of the reason why people come out here with piss poor attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's also, in my mind, it's just, and I don't know, like I would like, you'll never know the truth, but in my mind, the only people who go back to the fleet and say it was the worst 3 years of my life are are those recruiters who just sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like my buddy Morales. My buddy Morales killed it on the streets, and he does not go out there and say, "Hey, bro, it was the worst three." He does now. Is he real? Does he say to his Marines like, "Yo, dude, it was long, it was hard, it was this, it was that"? But he talks about what it helped. How did it help him? How did he grow? How did this? How did that happen? And other Marines too. So I think that's a huge part of it. Is like, dude, like just go out there with a winning mentality. Have an understanding that, okay, if I have the control here, and I'm the one who's in control of my destiny, in control of my life, in control of my career, and then I think that would definitely greatly help everybody out. So ending this off, do you have any advice for everybody out there? Anybody who's coming on the duty, anybody who's about to be embarking on this long, illustrious duty?
Mm. Yes, I do. So first things first, keep the positive mental attitude if you're coming out on this duty or any SDA for that reason, because this is your 3 years to grow on the duty. So you can either sink or swim on this duty, and you should choose to swim, not sink. So with that being said, put in 110% each and every single day, and go home, sleep, wake up, do the same thing the next day. You can get meritorious promoted on this duty, recognized by your district, your RS, and having that type of commentation and spotlight on your fit rep, and when you go back to the Fleet Marine Corps, is going to help you out in the long run, because every meritorious board that comes out, they're going to look at your fit reps, and they're going to see like how you did on this duty, and it's going to help pave the way for your future. But use this 3 years as a stepping stone in your career. Whether this is your twilight tour and you're getting out, make the most of it, make the best of it. Always get out of the office, go out in the community, go out in the area. I'm in Modesto, California, and it's literally the heart of the Central Valley. So you have Yosemite to the south, Lake Tahoe to the east, and to the west you have San Francisco, San Jose, and up north you have Sacramento and a few other places out there. But make the best of the duty wherever you go. And in the Marine Corps as well, is if you're new to joining the Marine Corps and you just got out of the schoolhouse, you got to your first duty station, what I told all my Marines and still continue to tell them is, get out of the barracks. And your first duty station is not the Marine Corps, so do not base your first duty. Do not base the Marine Corps off your first duty station. Go experience the world. Get out there. Go to concerts by yourself. Go eat by yourself. It says a lot about a person. You don't always have to go out with people. But I mean, I'm not telling you to be a social recluse or anything, but By
Yeah.
all means, if you have friends, get out of the barracks. Don't stay
Yeah.
cooped up in the barracks and
Bro, and
volunteer.
100%, bro. And that's so true, man. Like, ending it on that, like, it's such a true statement because I don't know how many Marines, like, I try to keep in touch with all the Marines that I put in. And the other day, I have two Marines. They both joined at the exact same time, graduated the exact same high school. And one of them is a sergeant. And this is in 3 years, got meritoriously promoted to sergeant recently. And then the other Marine got kicked out and was a terminal lance. And constantly for the whole 3 years of him being in the Marine Corps, all over Facebook, I hate the Marine Corps, I hate the Marine Corps, I hate the Marine Corps. The other Marine, who's now a sergeant meritoriously promoted, never on social media. And if he was on social media, he was posting pictures of him traveling, pictures of him with his friends. And it's so freaking true. And now he's going on to this new duty station and he's moving forward. And it really goes to show you, and that's one thing, like, I would always make it abundantly clear to people when I sat down with them and their parents. Like, I would, like, listen, I cannot promise you anything. I can tell you what the Marine Corps can do for you, but the Marine Corps is not going to force feed you anything. If you want travel and adventure, well, then guess what? You got to go and get travel and adventure. If you want educational benefits, then you got to go and take the opportunities to get those educational benefits. If you want leadership traits, if you want all of these things, the Marine Corps cannot give you any of them. And that's the perfect example right there, when you have two Marines join from the same high school at the exact same time and go totally different paths. And then I have a lot of other Marines, that same thing, or sergeants. I have a bunch of people that I put in that are sergeants now. And it's just crazy to me. Like, and those are the good times that I think of, because I'm like, bro, like, that was 4 years of my life. And now I have Marines that are in the Marine Corps that are literally sergeants, and it freaking feels amazing. Like, it feels great to know that was, like, if I hadn't walked up to that kid, if I hadn't continued to follow up with that kid, if I hadn't gotten that mother mad at me at 8 o'clock at night on a random phone call, like like the Marine that I was just talking about, dude, the sergeant, I literally told that kid, he was sitting in my office, and he was like, yeah, my mom, he was 17, and he was like, my mom is not going to let me join the Marine Corps. And I was like, so what's going to happen when you go home? And he was like, my mom's going to tell me I'm effing crazy and I can't join the Marine Corps. And he was like, and then my mom's going to start telling me all this stuff about this, and this, and, about how if I join the Marine Corps, I'm going to die. So I looked at him and I was like, listen, this is what you do when you go home. He goes, okay. I said, you go home and you tell your mother that you could have died on your way home, but you miraculously made it back because you could have died in your car. So, and because I was like, bro, you could die anywhere. Like, the house could fall. Da, da, da. So he goes home and he tells his mother exactly what I said. His mother calls me back and she goes, what the hell are you putting inside of my son's head? Da, 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 da. And I was like, well, am I wrong? Like, I was like, man. And now he's a sergeant and now the mom, and I still live in the same town. So I see his mom, and his mom all the time is just like, I still hate you for that comment, but thank you so much for doing what you did, because now my son's a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, and I never would have allowed it to happen if it wasn't for you. And it's crazy when you start to see those things. And that's why, like, when you have those negative moments or those negative times, it's like you have to think about what the Marine Corps is allowing you to do. Like, instead of thinking, oh wow, I have to do this, think about it that you get to do it. Like, you get to be the Marine Corps spokesperson. Like, and what I want to just kind of remind you of is that when you started off with this, in the beginning, one of the things that you had said was, I owe a lot to the Marine Corps. And that's one thing you can always tell about a good recruiter, is that they're the reason why they are such a good recruiter is because they want to give back to the Marine Corps for what the Marine Corps has done for them. And you want to give other people the same opportunities that the Marine Corps has given you. And I want to thank you for that, man. I want to thank you for making the time to come on here. Thank you so much. Thank you to Captain Reynolds for introducing us and getting me this phenomenal guest. But Hey man, I know that you have a whole bunch of stuff to do. You know, you got to go close out your events. You got to go put your follow-ups in, and you got to, create some new take ones probably and some cool stuff. But thanks a lot for coming by, man, and I hope you have a great rest of the night and God bless you.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Definitely, man. I'll have you back again.